Welcome to the lovely IHP community and the 5D collective. We have some channeled guidance, food for thought messages for those of you who are navigating the 5D frequency, and that's where love is consistently what you're navigating if you are in our 5D collective of mystic, spiritual, mindfully living, loving people. So that means a secure, attached, non-traumatized person, because you can mindfully look through your thoughts and your emotions with mindset skills and not be reactive. So you use a prefrontal cortex and you have a functional child adult. New moon, solar eclipse, and all the 5D ascension energies will have those who are of our collective expand. And this is what comes through. So we have empowered feminine, that's what I am. I have my own empowered masculine, which I call the mind, because it's an integrated brain, while the stupid masculine by itself is only the left, while it's a smart masculine when it begins to work with the right, which is what everything that comes up from our body, so sensations, images, affects, meanings, behaviors. You have a window welcome to yourself, so you own the sense of self. That means you don't bring Cusco into town, okay? So now we got an empowered masculine because he has an empowered feminine. And I'm not an empowered masculine again, and it has nothing to do with gender. Any of those who are spiritual or science will know if they feel that they are, because it's based on feeling. And I know based on mine, yes, empowered feminine right here. And I love learning from all masculines, and we don't waste time too much with the ones who are masculines, because we only use our time effectively and efficiently, and it's once you're with empowered masculine that you know partner and or partners. And that's with our monoamory and polyamory community. No, monoamory I know are monogamous, not all polyamory are polygamists, and we have polyfidelity also as part of our vessels. And so you ask questions with curiosity when you're curious about polyamory. Although some will say, you're all masochists. And I'll say, no, not the healthy self-worth ones. And they'll say, well, that's hard. And then you say, well, you did have your parents tell you what job to do. You're happy in life, right? You're fulfilled. So when you meet insecure human beings, that's what happens. Others say, so I can kiss you. And you say, no, I can fuck you. No again. I can, no, none of whatever this is. And you have a good time. That's what an empowered woman can tell you. I love all my men friends. They're all amazingly fun. And no, they are actually not assholes. The assholes I don't have. Because I know who they are. They get interviewed by women who allow them to show that they're going to choke a woman on screen, and it's like, wow, okay, you know what? Let me leave the gender stereotypes to the 4D and 3D collective, who continue to bring forth, we're the Flintstones, yabba 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 dabba do, have fun. Okay, with the 5D collective, we know that humanity evolves, so humanity and social sciences are my lovely subject matter area, personal development, self-help. I bring in sciences, spirituality, and spiritual, my own subjective experiences. And again, I'm the pseudoscience woo lady because I respect sciences. And so while I do have an understanding that empirical data, quantitative, qualitative, they are actively looking to integrate science and spirituality together, I love it. And I will continue to explore it. In fact, consciousness and thought is underneath the umbrella of my lovely political science background, which is amazing. So we will be expanding as the IHP community here comes, and I get to just chit chat with you all, because that's what I love to do. I love to love, and my baby, he loves to laugh and love and live and learn and not cast stones, because he loves to expand too. So it's two and or more brains that are smart, not stupid. So stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. Okay, with that being said, the land of the truth is neutrality. That's right here, and 5D navigates it. It's called securely attached and untraumatized people, because we know how to emotionally, mentally, and physically master ourselves thanks to mindfulness practices that you bring forth daily with mindset skills, because you can handle sensations, images, affects, behaviors, meanings, so you don't project shit at anybody. Okay, and anima mundi, we accept all and reject none, because really, we are not God, and nobody is. And Akash, source, divine, anything, whatever words you want to use, dark matter, dark energy, and the scientists, they call it the hard problem of consciousness. And I love, again, what I'm learning about scientists right now. Okay, so with that being said, welcome aboard. Aletheia comes to you through the thread when you reach the dead end. Please remember, food for thought messages, 5D are self-agents, so that means that they expand their own thoughts, their own feelings. They are human beings who are owners of their sense of self. I need to pause a minute. Means a functional child adult. You're empowered. You have no doubt of self. Excuse me. You're not looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. The ones who look for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, they actively think that, let me think. No, I'm not going to go there. Okay, so when your light body is expanding, and even the rainbow body, if you're 5D mystic and spiritual, you will not be lost, because you will have an anchored in ventral energy. So that means you know how to use your prefrontal cortex. Okay, so you don't clinically dissociate. I'm going to spell that one out because you're mindfully aware. So with that focused attention, you know how to expand your window welcome to emotions. That's why you don't get lost. And no matter what spiritual, mystical experiences are happening, you consistently are grounded in reality, because anything that comes out of your mouth, out of your thoughts, out of your eyes is subjective, meaning it's not a truth necessarily. You don't do effective realism. You understand subjective experiencing. Okay, so core, narrative, solo, relational self, they're all yours, which is why whatever comes up in your thoughts, in your images, again, it's yours. You're able to handle it. And decentralizing of the self, as Patrick McNamara points out, is amazing when you're expanding, which an integrated brain does, because of self-awareness, accountability, and regulation. Again, with a window of welcome to sensations and a window of welcome to emotions and thoughts. And so you don't go projecting. That's why the land of truth, neutrality, because you don't say good, bad, you don't judge, sad, mad, surprised, disgusted, afraid, happy. Those are the 6 basic human emotions that had us survive in the nature of Natureland and still have us survive. And we do, some of us eat meat. And when we see hypocrites who want to tell us how to eat food, it's like, you know what? Keep your charge, teenager, because that's what and this is a side note, there's a human being who every year, they pretty much do this thing. And I get it. They have their idea. And they definitely don't like meat. And you don't have to like it. At the end of the day, we can all be conscious and appreciate that which the land offers us. Okay, so when anyone takes anything to an extreme, it's called a black and white thinker, split thinking. It's called an adaptive child part human being who doesn't know how to use 2 sides of the brain, and they got a group like the flat earthers. So you just see them every time they have the opportunity, they project their charge. And that's why the 3D, 4D collective aren't going anywhere. Okay, and so when the ascension energies come about, they have emotional stuff come up, and then they don't metabolize it. They do trauma time, and their fate has been written. And so is their karma, and it's their 0-8-year-old. They could work with their narrative. They could work with their emotions. They deny Patrick Jahan the honor for him to work with them to reparent their inner child and learn how to love themselves first, or to real. So when you meet a person who's an adaptive child part, you will know, here I call them teenagers, they're Cuscos. They got like maybe 5 tricks up their sleeve. They're not really tricks. They're just 0-8-year-olds on a roll. Okay, in the meantime, as we close on out, let me read. I might show you the cards after. I'm going to decide that. Aletheia comes to you through the thread when you reach the dead end, the destroyer. Dead end and the destroyer. That lead you to becoming the creator, the mystic, the pilgrim, the animal, the siren, the lover, the shaman, the shapeshifter of you, and the judge, the crone, the king, and the queen, which bring you to becoming your own mentor as the now mindfully aware and conscious owner of your orphaned parts, which are no longer orphaned, but instead welcomed and alive within the eternal child. All the parts of you are now part of the eternal child that you are, and that is as you own your sense of self in a harmonized mind, brain, body, and ventral vagal state, thanks to living and loving mindfully and or spiritually as yourself. As a functional child adult, you lead with your higher self and bring forth the starborn child, mature father, masculine, we all have both energetic frequency, and mother, feminine counterparts of you. And also in your life, you will be with empowered counterparts at this point in your day-to-day. Not all of you, but there's a portion of you. And that's because you are consistently mastering your physical selves at this point. So your thoughts and emotions are easily navigatable. I'm making up that word right now from here. And that's why you love to have empowered relationships, which you're consistently learning how to differentiate between unhealthy boundary people who you don't do much about except for interact. Recalibrate is easy. I'm not doing enough to be saluted. It was easily recalibrated. Okay, so you are a whole self who is securely attached, and you pursue mental, emotional, physical mastery from the depths of you. That's why integration is fun, okay? And your higher self. Your higher self brings to you the capacity to hold the wisdom of the owl with the ability to uncover the intricacies that lie in small spaces, hidden to others but not to you. It's also because of you being able to put the biases, the charges aside. So you're like, okay, I might not enjoy all of this, but I want to hear. I want to mindfully continue to hear. And at the end of the day, it's another person sharing food for thought, whatever it is. I want to hear. I'm cool with it because it's not set in stone. Okay, nobody is speaking set in stone stuff. That's where if we want quantitative data, we go there for reasons, and it's done in a whole boring way. Okay, so we know the difference between data and stories, and data mixing it in. That's why pseudoscience woo-woo lady is a label that isn't bad, and it's not dismissing or diminishing meant to our mystic stuff. It's simply meant to welcome sciences and spirituality all together, which an empowered mystic will know, because again, we don't need to say I'm special. We're all special. We're all the ordinary special people out there with weaknesses and strengths. We all have flaws. We all can be on the side of good or the side of evil. Depends who's looking at me. We know that. We don't want that, but that's how it works because of subjective experiencing and people not all speaking in your face, like my facade friend. When you meet fake people, that's what I call the adaptive child part. They don't know how to tell you shit in your face. That's why masculines, they're not someone that I'm like, wow. It's more like, fuck this shit. You've frustrated me for the last time and wasted my time, like, completely. And they're not men. No, it's a half a brain. It's an immature human being who doesn't know how to actively be self-aware, accountable, regulating, which is why Patrick Tihan and Terriel, great job, man. They're helping men and women all that want to learn to love themselves first. So empowered masculines know how to love themselves and love others. Empowered feminines, which is why, again, we won't be like, there's a Lucifer out there. No, it's, wow, there's idiots out there. What the fuck is going on? No, actually, we know what's going on. It's called traumatized people who can heal. We're all over YouTube with it. So those who hurt people, like Patrick Tihan says, they can heal. There's free information. And when you see them just using their mouth, it's okay. Let's go back to, as I conclude with our messages, like a mouse with laser sharp scorpion focus, you renew, rebirth, and recreate this wisdom and all the wisdom you come across. You make it your own, expand it, and share it with humanity as our species continues to evolve and we continue to expand consciousness through our existence and infinite higher human consciousness, potential experience, and life. Who you are continues to unfold with the relationships you grow and the interactions brought forth by your soul family. Enlightened, great teachers cross your path and awaken the divine magic that you hold as a star and human being who is consistently expanding as a piece of consciousness again. So we're going to be using that word consciousness, intelligence, dark matter, source, spirit. Those of us who do use the word God, we don't use it typically to say you embody because that's completely a different way. But when you can relate to anima mundi, intelligence, that's why consciousness is more ideal. It can incorporate it all and respect at the same time. That which is something a very fine line. When you meet people who are not spiritually empowered, they become spiritual bypassers when they begin to think of themselves as embodying and using those words in that way. So consciousness allows us to maintain humility, integrity, and a level of groundedness with the reality of what intelligence with intellect means. That's why people who want to navigate the pseudo-liveness and their visceral with ups and downs don't like it, because teenagers need a high. They actively are living with the pseudo-live hypervigilance that their fight response is, and they don't have to be in their restorative embodiments. They think it's one emotion, which it's not. It's simply anchored in ventral energy. They find it boring. So when we meet the people who don't want securely attached, healthy self-worth and empowered, enlightening relationships, they are not empowered feminines. They are not empowered masculines because they're not whole self with secure attachment, non-traumatized people. And so they don't take emotional accountability, mental accountability, or physical for that matter, and they actively lack, again, immunity isn't enough to be saluted. The next time I saw him, the dude said, oh, you looked at me. That's called passive aggressive, but is it? It's not. It's like, wow, no, it's not. I'm so used to people being teenager versions of themselves that I laugh anytime I meet any of them because, like I said, there's no Lucifer. They got maximum 5 little, they have 5 games up their sleeve. It's not even games. It's actively your parts that you don't have any ownership of. I get to meet them all. Hey, great. I now know what you're going to do anytime you're pissed. I'm going to know what you're going to do when you're not. I mean, really, I'm going to know how to avoid every single time you get emotionally immature. because that's exactly what I want to do, since you're a bad mood person who's not doing anything to get out of it. Zen master, what's up? You got laundry? Don't you know how to put mindfulness into practice? Resiliency, it means that we have shit going on. No, not really. It's called life. Like, really. 2 hands, 2 feet. What are you doing? It's not no, this is where people think I pretend. No. It's I feel, and I will share the feeling, but I will not create a narrative that allows me to have to be in my pissy pants, which is why ego don't die. It expands. It expands if you're integrating your brain. If you instead have, it always happens to me. That's where, again, teenagers, they're all over this. Every time there's ascension energies, what I've noticed is that they have highs and lows. And like my teacher Sue Martin taught me, most of those who don't heal their child parts, so their child parts stay charged, and they were basically made to navigate life from sympathetic dorsal vagal. That's what they do. So yeah, it's not really fun to see people distressed and then they think they know mindfulness. Get your personality patterns, get your temperament, get to secure attachment, become the owner of the sense of self. So you have core, narrative, relational, solo self. You have a window welcome to affect, emotions, and thoughts. Become the owner of all of those child parts, and you will find that you will navigate anything that comes up really awesomely. And so through the ownership of your sense of self, you bring forth the integration of your brain and the restorative embodiment of you, and a life with self-regulation in ventral vagal state. You know the importance of being an empowered self and growing relationships with empowered others to build a sustainable, loving, stable village that you, and we globally and cosmically, can call home. It actively is our home. And that's the part. It doesn't change. It just gets better for humanity and expansion of consciousness, because God always wins. Intelligence wins, not stupidity. And the people who don't understand that half-brainers are not actively smart. However, again, trauma charges are stored in muscles, bones, and tissues. And as Peter Levine points out, once one unravels, others unravel. But like Patrick McNamara points out, if your brain has a fear receptor that's going wonky and you start having nightmares and you don't go to a therapist and you don't go help yourself, well, that fear receptor might go wonky to the point of where it breaks, and it's very unfortunate business. So when people disregard their mental health and getting their window of tolerance expanded, and I've seen people who, to nutshell ladies, are you saying we have to put up with it? No, she's explaining to you how to work through panic attacks, and you can expand your window of tolerance, and eventually it's going to be okay. She's giving you a solution. You sound like a whiner, and that's because there's a venting of an upset, which I totally can understand as a person who doesn't enjoy the panic attacks. But, I mean, you got 2 options. Call it shit every time it happens and don't do anything, or learn to not use words. No narrative. Okay, here we go. The bus and the wheels go round it. Okay, so the merry-go-round. And that's where, in time, it's called you're creating resiliency in your restorative embodiment. That's my point, because it's your nervous system. You're attuning to yourself. It's a third attunement when it's with secure attachment with parents and repairing ruptures. And then when you can do it with yourself, it's called you having an objective with a subjective experience conversation without making you right, another wrong. Functional child adults, it's things happen in life. And so our secure attachment functional child adult home is made of family, friends, partner and or partners, lover and or lovers and or others, people who you can turn to for mental, emotional, physical support and expansion. For mystics and spiritual people, this also includes support of our spiritual growth and enlightenment journey in life, which is really fun. Our community are the 5D collective of mystic, spiritual, and mindful people who are anchored in ventral energy thanks to putting daily mindfulness practices with the mindset skills and inner growth mindset into use in everyday life and relationships. Pursuing your infinite higher human consciousness potential is fun and exhilarating as you choose to be yourself with and from an open heart while going with the flow when unknowns, unexpecteds, unwanteds, and uncertainties head your way in life or relationships. So you love to live, love, laugh, and not cast stones as you choose to be you, mindful and flawed with integrity. And as I like to share with you the definition, integrity, what other people say about you doesn't matter, but you should not be ashamed of what you have done. And there's a lot more that I would share, but instead we'll close off with a couple of said guru quotes, and then we'll have an episode again either tomorrow or next week. Life is not in our activity, not in our possessions, and not in what we touch, taste, see, or smell. You are life. The rest are just ingredients. Sadhguru. Yes. However, you will not get to that life, that soul, that essence of you, if you do not reparent your inner child, learn to navigate your nervous system. Why? Because a past self is not who you are. And not acknowledging that the first 3 years of your life matter and that all your child parts matter. And this is where, again, the 5D collective are people who take seriously knowing that a truly intelligent mind is neither influenced by memory nor deluded by imagination. Memory, implicit and explicit, from your 03, it's implicit, then you start building explicit. Imagination, it's the neuroplastic agent of choice for all of us. And when a 4D is around, what they got going on is they're alert, they're using their amygdala, they're in their temporal junction, ruminating, and then they're using imagination with nightmare shit that comes up because they haven't taken ownership of their child parts and taken those orphaned parts to allow themselves to heal. The exiles, the protectors, the hostile, the doomsdayer, whatever it is. So when I see a person who's perpetuating their own trauma, I'm not their therapist. I'm not their mom. I'm not their pop. I ain't anything. And when I see them being spiritual bypassers, again, I'm not God. So that's definitely none of my business. Also, we all choose who we're going to encounter. So if you are a mystic, you'll also know that every person that has been brought to you, I learned this from God and Jesus, is my brother or sister. I will welcome you with open arms and I will forgive. Why? Because you've done nothing that I need to forgive you for in the first place. You're being yourself. I'm being myself. Whether you're a facade or not doesn't matter. I know that I'm authentic. You can be whatever you want to be. A past self, like my facade friend. And so with that being said, the one thing that will make us dead is if we get physically attacked. So thoughts and emotions, they don't affect a person who's a self-agent. That's what the 5D collective is, because we will know how to say, hey, thoughts, hey, feelings. So that thread comes forth from your lovely body, empowered feminine, empowered mind, so empowered masculine. The masculine and the left and right work together, integrated brain. So there's never really a dead end, but when you are in the centralizing of the self, there's a destruction of some type of concept, something, and that's where you become your own creator. And therefore you become somebody. Some of you can become mystics. Others of you might be going on a pilgrimage somewhere, So others identify with animals. Others can do all of it. The siren, you find your vices. You can be your own siren, right? But you will move into becoming your own lover. And here's where you can, yes, the shaman of you. So you learn how to harness your mental, emotional, and physical faculties as a human being. It's very straightforward. I do personal development, self-help. It's be yourself. The shapeshifter is that your child parts are no longer actively charged without an owner. No, you are your own judger, but not with judgment. As a crone, you're not bitter. And you're not going to be this rigid king or this rigid queen. Okay, our ancient ancestors had these. They were not really very soft, flexible, or adaptive. We talk about them in different ways in history books. So you becoming your own mentor, that's why mentorship supports that which you are already doing, though, because again, you know how to handle your nervous system. You don't have orphan parts. You have eternal child now who's a functional inner child adult, which is why you're starborn. And that's, again, some of you are earth babies, some of you are star babies. Either or, we're here on earth and we are in flesh. And so as your own masculine, the father, and your own feminine, the mother, you get to be that empowered owl with the wisdom and the capacity to get to the deep little corners like a little mouse, and with that sharp, not in the negativity of the scorpion, no, with the sharp skills of that, which is the scorpion. I'm showing you all the cards. Here's what also came through in case you do enjoy. I know I love every time I'm giving you food for thought channeled guidance messages, because they do mean something. So, whatever one attracts you. I'll show you the book for this one and we'll save the rest for some other time. That's these ones are the, and with that, Alethea, I'll just read that one since she's the card that came. Truth. Our soul recognizes the truth when someone speaks it. let's see, it's only if you have the capacity to recognize your own subjective charges and biases. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, you're 14-month-old. I like that person. I'm going to like everything they say. And I choose, therefore, to believe that everything they say. Knowing how to hear the truth means you know how to, one, hear yourself, and then to put that stuff to the side, and then to continue to expand. Obviously, there are those who want to settle into a piece of information. That's where I'm not one of those. But you do settle into them. In time, you embody whatever truths you will have come to decide in your life and experience works for you. And so, our soul recognizes the truth, plus the soul is unconditional love, which is why actually when they do these things, I'm breaking it down in a human way right now versus, again, it's not a blank slate because there's plenty of truths out there for people. When someone speaks it, the cool wave of relief washes over the room, and all the facts and figures in the world fall by the wayside. This is also why we have spiritual bypassers, because if you have facts and figures fall, we got flat earthers. Okay, so truth is, once again, a word that I'm going to say, let's use it wisely, because it's about us knowing how to acknowledge subjective experiences, objective experiences, how to acknowledge data, how not to dismiss all of that which our ancestors have done, also not to dismiss all that will come. So being open to information in that which is a discerning, equanimous, loving way, as our lovely wise and equanimous, discerning, loving God, Akash, intelligence. So discernment, like I said, wise judgment, all of us can be misaligned. We all can come at something without realizing what's happening, which is why it's important to be mindfully aware. So when I have had a number of different interactions, I don't set my foot in stone and say, you're right, Maria. No, my facade friend, the perfect example, as he thinks I'm a hypocrite, I think he's a hypocrite. We both have different definitions. We coexist. And actively, when I asked him, what? I said, yeah, you're right. According to your definition, you're right. But according to my definition, you don't do anything, meaning you don't walk a walk and talk a talk. And as those who are facades do, they don't, because that's a pause self who switches teams, and then again, they stay in a limited consciousness. So their truth will be what they think is the right truth. They won't expand to more truths. And then to acknowledging, wait, our consciousness consistently expands as decentralizing of the self happens. Again, the destruction, the creator, and as I continue to involve more of that which is life. That's why as you get older, automatically, if you are a self that you own, you move out of a narrative, because otherwise you're not using your brain. You're not using intellect or intelligence. So, I mean, to me, it's more like common sense that you're going to expand and move out of black and white thinking. And that's exactly where, again, those who are in their prefrontal, they get to continue to notice, yes, we have some groups who don't do that, others who do. So truth has an undeniable resonance that goes beyond the rational. We can also recognize aletheia by its contagiousness when people come together, though. So if you have a shared truth with those groups that you come together, right? Being able to recognize that different groups have different truths, and then to be able to talk about it. The most amazing thing of empowered people is whether it's political, religious, whatever it is, we're not going to get into each other's faces. Okay? That's what truth with neutrality and contagiousness for me is, when you're curious. And when we hear someone speak the truth, we see the truth within ourselves and are more likely to tell our own story. So again, if you welcome you as crooked and another as crooked, meaning we all have different ways of thinking. The whole evil, good, bad, dividing things in that way doesn't help you to interact. Dividing things in any way doesn't help. But what you can understand is I have my own way of thinking and feeling about truth, so does another. And in an interaction where I'm communicating, I don't need to be reactive. I don't need to get charged. And that will allow you to engage with interactions with a brain that actually stays online versus going into what is a brain stem. And then, because this one came up for you as well, we're going to this lovely little fox. Smart, strong, and a strong partner or mate, wise teacher. The fox is an enchanting creature with plenty of mystique to go around. Fox personalities are skillful in business and also make great teachers. They are quick to learn and adapt well to new situations. Foxes are ideal life partners as they commit to relationships for the long term, and their natural charisma keeps things exciting. Fox energy helps us stay true to those most dear to us. When this card appears, reconnect to those you love. Foxes don't do well when they slip away. Well, and that's with anyone that slips away, but like the little hummingbird, we like to fly and bring our golden eggs to each other. Those lovely cards that they came out. If you want, you can check out. There's another channeled guidance message. And like a firefly and a dragonfly. Oh, these are amazing. You rise from the ashes like the phoenix. It's an amazing time right now. And that's for our lovely 5D self-empowered, enlightened collective. The 4D are having a good time too. We have different types of egos, but we all can shine and communicate together and continue expanding with our lovely human species, as long as that asteroid doesn't hit us. Please, please don't hit us. We'll be back with more, and have a great new moon and solar eclipse and day.